Little Olya jumped toward the TV set and, after flicking the power switch, started blindly feeling around the backside of the photon, trying to plug the console's cable into the antenna input. Bits of TV shows started flashing on the CRT screen when I armed myself with the remote to look for the channel with the sought-after Dendy signal.
Что дома интересного происходило?
It was a mundane question for me. I didn't put any actual meaning behind it. But Olya's expression suddenly changed. She lost all of the childish nonchalantness she worked so hard to acquire before.
Оль, что-то случилось?
My sister managed to put the cable in its place and started brushing off her dust-covered hand. She was clearly looking for the courage to continue the conversation.
Мама!
What happened? Olya went silent, and for a moment I thought I saw tears welling up in her eyes.
У нее опять был этот страшный...
My sister looked at me with wet eyes.
Приступ.
This had happened before, but it was a rare occasion. Now that we'd moved to this godforsaken place, Mom's fits rose in frequency.
Принес большое. Оно в газету было завернуто и пахло так...
I'm sorry for whatever future me did. I'm sorry.
Мама опять начала злиться.
Oh,
Взяла нож.
she has violent fits. Olya squirmed, looking fearfully out of the window.
Они начали громко ругаться. И...
I froze, imagining my little sister so small and unnoticeable, standing in the kitchen doorway. She wasn't even trying to hide. Our parents just paid her no mind at all.
И потом мама ударила. Вот так.
Olya slightly moved her fist downward, imitating a strike.
Рыбу. Она была живая тоже. Ей было больно. А мама...
It was easy to imagine what happened next. The writhing fish with a blade between its fins squirted some foul-smelling musk into Mom's face. Whenever death got this close to my mom, be it when a person was hit by a bus in front of us and their blood was smeared all over the windshield. What? Or when Grandma chopped off a chicken's head, Mom would always get into a weird, dreadful fit. Her eyes would roll over, she would fall on her face like a freshly cut tree, and started writhing just like that agonizing fish, turning over chairs and blurting out bits of scary sentences.
Папа, он ей помог?
Olya shuddered, as if just remembering it pained her.
Да, но вначале... Он засмеялся тоже. Так страшно, когда увидел, что маме плохо. А потом вдруг заплакал.
Olya's story made me raise an eyebrow. It seemed like the forest's oozing madness had not only completely consumed our mom, but also infected our strong and courageous dad. I quickly stepped toward Olya and locked her in a tight embrace. She dug her face into my chest, and I could feel my shirt becoming wet.
Зачем они так издеваются друг над другом тоже? Они сумасшедшие.
I stuttered, unable to justify the actions of our parents. I had ran out of words, and all I could do was hug Olya even tighter. What the hell was that all about? Olya screamed and hid behind me.
Переключи, переключи скорей!
No matter how many times she saw this intro, she would always react the same, just like when she saw that owl. I mean, I also got goosebumps every time this ghastly face appeared on the screen, so I immediately complied with my sister's request. What is that about? I guess vid? A TV company logo. Oh. Okay. Hey, that looks like a Famicom. Finally, the game selection screen showed up for the cartridge that was bundled with the console. Too bad most of the names are just different levels of the same game. Aw, you got one of these games? I picked up the gray rectangular controller and started looking around the pixel letters to find the familiar English word for duck. Background music from the menu soothed Olya's mind, and she asked in a calm voice.
А как твои дела в школе?
Horrible, Olya.
Ничего хорошего. Школа новая, а достается мне по-прежнему. Словно и не переезжали никуда. Задолбала.
Before despair could lead me down its depressing road toward the clutches of oppressive thoughts, something evil writhed deep inside my skull, awakening wild and pleasant memories. Oh, interesting.
Хотя, знаешь, кое-что хорошее все же случилось.
Olya watched with hope-filled eyes as a wicked smile spread on my face, faintly resembling the wound from a box cutter knife.
И еще один мальчик пропал.
Тоша, разве это хорошо? Почему ты так говоришь?
My sister's voice trembled when she looked into my eyes through the thick lenses.
Знаешь, а может, тот пропавший Вова сам виноват, что с ним это случилось?
Did something possess you, Anton, or...
Может, он совершил нечто настолько плохое, что не заслуживал жить.
Не будь таким жестоким, пожалуйста!
Yeah, you're scaring your sister, man. Olya pressed her knees into her chin and hugged them with her hands, trying to take up less space, as if she wanted to shrink or even disappear altogether. It was the only reasonable thing for us to do, go missing among all the other broken toys, and never encounter evil parents or mad classmates. We're the only ones left for each other, the only ones who can protect, listen, and sympathize. Which means she's bound to listen to what I think about them all. These beasts, pretending to be children, that are so eager to bully the weak. It was my turn to speak.
Думаю, они не последние.
My breathing quickens. My fingers start banging on the wooden floor.
Такие люди, как они, недостойны жить, ходить с нами в одну школу. Смотреть на твой свет.
My thoughts got tangled. They slipped away along with my calmness.
Тошенька, хватит! Ты меня пугаешь!
Не бойся, я смогу тебя защитить.
Then I finally noticed that Olya was looking at me like I was a stranger.
Кто ты?
Yeah, what happened to you, Anton? The rage that welled up inside me subsided. It hid under the guise of my cowardliness, leaving me alone with the growing feeling of guilt for scaring my sister.
Оленька, прости, я не хотел. Видимо, я схожу с ума в этой школе.
She rushed to embrace me, barely holding back her tears.
Все хорошо, Тоша. Только, пожалуйста, пожалуйста, никогда так больше не говори.
Клянусь маминым сердцем.
Olya flashed me a bitter smile.
А сам сказал, что так говорить нехорошо.
Ты права, давай лучше играть.
Только чур я первая.
Wait. Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. Damn. Okay. Yeah. I'm good at duck hunt. Never mind. Let's get dangerous. From Darkwing Duck. Nice. Alright, let's see if I can get all the ducks. No! There we are. Damn.
Это ты виноват, что я промазала.
Okay. I think I'm done.
Поиграли и будет.
I want to move the story forward. If it was like real life, I would be playing games like all day. Aww. Meanie, huh? Okay, so I guess there's an achievement for playing with her until it moves on anyway. My mom only managed to get through to me on her third attempt.
Антон, тебя к телефону. Девушка какая-то.
I sobered up in an instant and rushed to the hallway.
Не споткнись, смотри.
I grabbed the phone, pressed it into my chest, looking at my mom. She shrugged and went into the room, gathering the toys thrown around by Olya as she went.
Алло?
У твоей мамы такой молодой голос.
А, ну да. Она сама молодая.
Не мешаю?
Нет, что ты.
Oh, if only she knew how costly this conversation could be for me, what risks I took on just answering this call. There were a pen and a shabby notebook lying on the nightstand. I picked them up and started moving the tip of my pen across the paper, producing chaotic doodles that always ended up turning into hearts.
Я тут подумала, мне надо тебе сказать кое-что.
I froze. It can't be. Does she like me?
В последнее время у тебя такой потерянный вид. А сегодня в школе на тебе буквально лица не было.
I couldn't find words. My heart was aflutter in anticipation.
Я хочу сказать, я на твоей стороне.
A smile was spreading on my face, in anticipation for Paulina's next words.
И мне тебя очень жаль.
Ah. That stung.
Такие хорошие ребята, как ты, заслуживают большего. Мне очень хочется верить, что однажды ты найдешь в себе силы дать отпор, и другие перестанут тебя задирать.
The pen fell out of my weak fingers. Is that all she's going to say?
Может, даже девушку найдешь.
Ugh. She sounded as if she was unsure of her own words.
Короче, знай, ты славный парень.
It was a total failure. Compassion instead of an invitation to hang out.
Ты тут?
Before I could reply, Olya descended the stairs. She was holding some book in a pink cover, Encyclopedia of a Young Lady. Why does that... That looks creepy. That face on the book?
Ты долго еще?
I covered the handset with my hand.
Я разговариваю. Что случилось?
Почитай мне, пожалуйста. Мама уснула.
Иди к себе, я сейчас.
Только быстрее, ладно?
Ладно.
My last reply sounded excessively annoyed. I sighed, watching my sister running up the stairs.
Алло, Полина?
Прости, мне надо бежать. Представляешь, кое-кто втюрился в меня и теперь оттирается у моих окон, требуя сходить с ним на свидание. Пойду прогоню его, пока дедушка не проснулся. Или, может, дать ему шанс?
I bit my lower lip in jealousy.
Если интересно, расскажу тебе завтра. Мы, в конце концов, друзья.
Friends. At least she didn't say we were besties.
Да, конечно. Добрый.
Dirty slut. An angry voice spoke through the teeth in my brain. Like a restless zombie devoid of a consciousness, I dragged my feet up the staircase. I wish I could tell Dad, ask for his manly advice. But he doesn't show up home until late at night because of his new job. My parents don't have time for me, to put it lightly.
Ну, где твоя книжка?
I stuttered. The kids' room was empty.
Оль?
She probably snuck into my room. I started walking down the corridor. The room was infested with shadows. The blinds were wavering like there was someone hiding behind them. I smiled, sneaked toward the window and threw open the curtain.
Попалась!
There was nobody behind the cloth. There was somebody standing down there, though. The window was a TV screen showing winter scenery. The lamp post, the field, and a couple of walking figures in the middle of it. Elisa and Olya. Oh! I gasped and pressed my fist to my mouth, sinking my teeth into it. Elisa was leading Olya into the thicket. I needed less than a minute to hurriedly dress and rush out of the house. My heart was beating like a firing machine gun. The wind carried the cold, resinous smell of coniferous trees from the forest. Freezing air crackled somewhere in the field. Two shadows loomed in front of the gate. I could only recognize them as my sister and the fox girl because of their height. I ran toward the fence, listening to the howling wind and the squeaking snow. One of the figures moved and slowly glided toward the thicket like an ice skater. I slowed down and touched my glasses, trying in vain to adjust my vision to the surrounding darkness. Worry landed on my shoulders like a weightless snowflake. A snake woke up in my belly and started writhing. I felt nauseous. I thought about my home, the flimsy fortress I'd left behind. I finally caught up to my sister, dressed only in a coat.
Оля!
Ты видел лисичку?
Оля, зачем ты вышла на улицу? Если мама узнает...
My sister froze in place, facing the taiga. She was in a hand's reach, and I put my numb wrist on her shoulder for some reason, probably to make sure it wasn't a dream. Hi. A pointy beak was directed at me, strewn with feathers that formed an owl face. Something wearing a bird mask was staring at me.
Не узнает.
The voice sounded exactly like Olya's, but there was somebody else hiding behind the feathers in the curtain. I sprinted away as if I got whipped. The masked creature only pretended to be Olya, just to lure me out. I was running like crazy, drowning in snow. The house in front of me was rapidly growing. The yellow light in its windows granted me hope. My mom and sister are there, my salvation! I couldn't hear anything from behind me, as if nobody was chasing me. Maybe it's because the owls can fly. I was already climbing the porch when I noticed another figure. From the soot-black shadow of my house, a scruffy wolf cub crawled out and stood in my way. Hi. Its movements were jerky, chaotic, as if it was performing some terrifying dance, or convulsing during a stroke. And even though I could clearly see that the wolf face was a mask, something in this werewolf's convulsions made me freeze in place. The boy in a wolf's costume rubbed his side against the porch post and fell to his knees. And he bent his back so hard that I expected his spine to crack. The beast's eyes shone, but he didn't attack. He kept crawling around and running on all fours. I shifted my feet, my mouth agape, trying to keep him in my line of sight. Something was trickling from the slit in the mask. Viscous drops fell to the wooden planks. Saliva. Some unknown force pushed me in the back, whispering me to save myself. The fence was flashing by at the edge of my vision. I was running, in another direction this time, toward the toothy edge of the forest that smelled of pine. My heartbeat measured time. The wolf boy growled behind my back as if he forgot his human nature. My right leg got stuck in the snow-laden cavity. I yanked it out, cursing under my breath, and fell to the ground. Plastering snow prevented me from standing up, from propping myself against anything. But my unbound thirst for life had helped me get out of that trap. Darkness was creeping closer, like the toxic fumes of burial pyres. I ran again, gasping for air that stung my throat. My hair swayed in the wind. I lost my hat when I fell down, and my ears were now hot from the freezing cold, while most of my body was still sweaty. The field finally ended. After realizing that running into the forest wasn't the smartest decision I could make, I dove into the line of trees. I ran without stopping, my face covered with one of my palms. I didn't want to lose an eye to some random branch. Branches whipped my clothes, pricked my skin like butchers that were herding a pig into the grinder. I ran for a very long time. A knot of roots, sprouting from the ground, grabbed at my foot. I rammed into the scratchy trunk, slid down to its base, and looked around in a panic.
Ух, какой ты быстрый!
Hi. My first desire was to dash toward her and hug her. I resisted it and squeezed myself even tighter into the pine.
Что ты здесь делаешь?
Да вот,
She was holding the hat I lost.
в бюро находок подрабатываю. Надевай, а то уши замерзнут, а потом, глядишь, и вовсе отвалятся.
She giggled. I squinted in suspicion and shifted my gaze back and forth between her and the hat, scared that Elisa might be holding a severed head or something even more sinister. But in the end, my hat turned out to just be my hat. Okay. I took it and pulled it over my forehead.
Тепло?
I didn't reply.
Там во дворе были какие-то дети.
И что, покусали тебя, что ли?
Нет.
А чего же ты убежал?
The answer was obvious, but after rolling the thought on my tongue, I mumbled.
Не знаю.
Эх, обещала не обзывать тебя дурачком. А я обещание исполняю.
She walked up to me and grabbed me by the elbow. I sensed the familiar aroma of mint, oranges, and burnt sparklers. That's a interesting combination. I wanted to lean into Alice to savor the minute details of her smell.
Сколько можно повторять? Со мной ты в безопасности. Я твой друг. И они.
I quickly turned around toward the place the fox girl was pointing to. Kids in masks appeared at the clearing. At least they looked like kids since they were all pretty short. A wolf boy, an owl girl, and a bear boy. They all huffed and gasped for air, clearly tired from running around.
Я думала, ты в снег провалился. Стала снег копать, нет тебя.
А я не копал, лень копать было.
Hey, are you Simeon? That voice sounds familiar.
А ну как получается? Если дурак, ты бегай да копай.
I think this is Simeon.
А если умный, подожди, пока другие набегаются, накопаются и устанут. И уж тогда заводи разговор.
Как я рад! Дегенерат!
А?
Не обращай внимания, он со странностями.
And you guys aren't. I stood there stupefied, my mouth agape and my hands dangling helplessly. I almost said his. I had no idea how to react to the words of these late-night guests, but I managed to squeeze out something resembling a smile.
Вы просто меня напугали.
They started looking at each other, and somebody even snorted as if I said something funny.
Да, лесоправа!
Это он.
Нет, это наш!
Неужели нашли?
Наш зайчик.
Да, похож. Первый!
Ну, конечно, ты первый! Это волчик раньше всех почуял зайчика в тебе и рассказал нам.
Здравствуй.
С нашей совушкой ты знаком не понаслышке. Не такая уж она и страшная, правда?
I guess not.
Да, наверное.
Yeah.
А этот улыбчивый бугай — медвежутка.
Teddy? This big guy that sounds a lot like Simeon?
Ты лучше с ним поласковее, а то голову откусит.
Зачем это?
Да, смотрю, ты чувство юмора где-то обронил.
I was still unsure if these peculiar little animals, had the best intentions in mind, so I hid my hands behind my back, trying to look away from the gaping holes of their carnival masks. Elisa put her hands to her sides in a theatrical manner, and somehow managed to wink with her fox face.
Когда в следующий раз придем, будем звенеть в колокольчики, чтобы ты не так боялся нашего визита.
А у нас разве есть колокольчики?
Чур, я звенеть не буду. У меня лапка болит.
My smile was no longer fake.
О, зубы показал! Это добрый знак. Не ожидала, что сможем тебя рассмешить. Я думала, это под силу только Диснейленду.
Откуда ты знаешь?
Да так, прочитала кое-где.
Про меня?
Про клюв от воробья. Про Диснейленд яхонтовый.
Ты умеешь читать по-человечески?
Зря я, что ли, в школу хожу день ото дня.
Huh. And then she sang in a coquettish voice.
Как детей не замечать, как мечты их развенчать. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе. Крепко-накрепко вломить, с детства слабеньких чморить. Учат в школе, учат в школе, учат в школе.
I was expecting a full-on musical. I let out a cautious laugh. My new acquaintances didn't seem scary anymore. On the contrary, they looked friendly and welcoming. There was something about them that attracted me. Just like this clearing, this moon, and the snowflakes that fell backwards, from the ground to the sky, as if someone was rewinding a tape. The masked kids got close and I felt their touch. They gave me friendly taps, felt my clothes, as if checking whether I was real. I keep right-clicking. Sorry, there was no animalistic malice in their touch, only pure childish curiosity. For some reason, I thought to myself, I can trust them. Snowflakes just kept on floating upwards.
Никто тебя больше не обидит.
Друг! Пусть только попробуют.
The fox gave me a slight tug and burst out laughing.
Ну что, Тоша, убежишь с воплями или с нами пойдешь?
Куда?
На аттракционы!
At that moment, Taiga's deceptive silence was broken by the sound of a distant flute. Mesmerizing and alluring, it brought about the ring of crystal glass and the whispers of a fresh winter spring. If I had any doubts before, the flute's song shattered the last of them. I started following my new friends before I could even make my decision. My legs carried me of their own will, and the tunnels made of pines stepped apart. Bushes bowed in front of our procession. And somebody was watching in those trees I just noticed. Everything looked dreamlike. Because even the clearing we ended up on, I only saw in my dream. The flute soared up in the treetops like some fantastical bird. The snowflakes floated up in a spiral. The moon painted tree branches with silver. Elisa gasped in amazement. I was also in awe. I tilted my head backwards as far as I could.
Красиво как.
Очень красиво.
Wolfie howled in agreement.
Это мелочи. Я покажу гораздо больше, если захочешь.
I did want. I wanted to see what the fox girl saw with her eyes, hidden in the semi-dark of her cape. Now I didn't feel weird about these masked kids. I felt weird for being the only one without a mask. I felt like I was naked in the January winds.
Скажите, а зачем вам маски?
I was trembling, but I wasn't scared. My trembling wasn't caused by the cold. It originated from the peculiar anxiousness, the anticipation of something amazing.
А тебе зачем?
I touched my cold cheek.
Но я без маски.
Обожаю человеческие сказки.
Человеческие ласки.
Human nails.
Человеческие дрязги.
Я же говорила. Все жители поселка носят маски.
All the villagers, huh?
Только скрываются за ними отнюдь не люди.
И даже я?
Ты такой рассеянный, Антон.
Однажды мы уже нашли твои очки.
И шапку. И твое настоящее лицо.
I looked at the mask the fox was holding out to me. The bunny mask that looked like a silver ingot under the moonlight. I was curious to see the world through its slits. Yeah. Suddenly fighting its way through the flute's melody, a thought came to me. The glasses they found were in Simeon's possession. My new acquaintances must have known what happened to him. Or even worse.
А куда подевался Семен? Что с ним стало? И с остальными детьми?
The bear and the owl looked at each other. The wolf boy curled into a ball, and the fox lowered the pointy nose of her mask.
Тот, кого держали в клетке.
Тот, кто режет мелко-мелко. Тот, кто носит кожаное лицо, забрал их.
Умел бы я креститься, перекрестился бы.
Хотите сказать, это был человек?
Чем ты только слушал? Разве можно назвать такого, как он, человеком?
That's true. How can you call a child kidnapper human?
Одно слово — взрослый.
В мире взрослых так легко потеряться.
Убийцы, жестокие дрессировщики и равнодушные родители.
Yeah.
Лучше об этом вовсе не думать, чтобы не грустить. Не знаю, как вам, а мне печалиться совсем не хочется.
И я сегодня какой-то негрустный. Антон, а ты?
А?
I was lost in thought, staring at the pines, trying to pinpoint the location of the flute. I was sure that the person who played it was standing right behind the piney stockade. Someone tall, going over the holes in the flute with their long fingers.
Так что, сядем тосковать или займемся отдыхом?
Алиса хотела что-то показать.
Давай начнем с самой сладкой части программы.
The fox girl took out a handful of candy from her pocket and handed them over to each of the kids. Covers shuffled. The smell of pineapple, cocoa, and melon wafted through the air. The last treat, a chocolate-covered waffle candy, Elisa put it right into my mouth. My tongue was engulfed in spiciness. I felt like my body was covered in fur and small sparks were running along it. I chewed on the waffle and the chocolate, gulped them down, enjoying the vivid taste.
Спасибо.
My gratitude was barely audible because my lips were already touching the insides of a mask. I didn't even notice how I put it against my face. The papier-mâché was warm. The mask stuck to my skin, giving it a nice prickle. The kind when you dive into a hot bath after being outside in winter. When you lie there and purr from the soapy water.
Говорила же, это твое!
Мое.
Чего стоим? За нас веселиться никто не будет.
И то верно.
The melody kept swirling in the field like a hurricane. I couldn't wait to release the energy, the heat that this enchanting music was filling me with, and it suddenly stopped for some reason. The owl jumped and disappeared into the sky. I heard her laughter from somewhere above, and then she landed back, huffing and sighing.
И ты так можешь. Попробуй.
I followed suit. My feet tore off from the ground. I flew toward the stars like a rocket and screamed from happiness after seeing my friends down below. The wind helped me fly. It felt like I was jumping on a huge trampoline. The stars looked like vivid sparkles that I could reach and lick up. The moon also got closer, and then I plunged. I got scared that I'd break my legs for a moment, but my soles landed softly on the ground and I regained my balance.
С нами ты в безопасности. И все твои мечты станут явью. Я так счастлива наконец обрести тебя. Зайчик!
In a fit of merry laughter, I realized the most important thing. These four are not a threat. Also, interesting that it suddenly turned into color. My real enemies, and I felt that with every single hair on my mask, were those who knew nothing about magic. Humans from the village. I also realized how alive my surrounding had become. I heard the dry grass under the snow moan. I saw faces of the trees and the stars. The trees were smirking and the stars were grimacing in fear. That's right, be scared. I'll jump up to you and... I snapped my teeth, then let out a jubilant laugh, jumping up along with the fox. We flew higher than the tallest pines and stayed in the air. I swirled. Elisa followed my rhythm. I knew that she was smiling, so I smiled too. And the flute just kept on playing, carrying us higher and higher.
Эй, тебя что, заколдовали?
That someone is standing next to me, I thought, trying to unglue my chin from the desk. My muscles felt slightly sore, but that feeling was pleasant. The whole class was wandering about for some reason, whispering and passing notes to each other. Their faces looked like discolored masks to me, bleak and boring. I yawned, remembering the time I was soaring high above the forest with Elisa by my side, laughing and squeezing my hand. Perhaps, no, probably, it was all just a dream. Because I didn't walk back from the forest, just woke up in my bed on a normal morning with tea and medicine. Still, I was hardly worried about trying to find a rational explanation for my night dance. That feeling of flight was much more important. The knowledge of how it feels to be hanging in the air above the treetops of majestic pines and baring my teeth at the moon.
Прости, задумался. Слышал уже про Катю? А?
Oh, Katya's gone now too. I glanced at the empty seat in front of me.
Катя пропала.
Oh no. My sleepiness was gone in an instant. I frowned in suspicion.
Как пропала? Быть не может.
Катя!
Huh? Okay. Wow. Every episode ends with a child missing, huh? I am very curious. Also, I kind of figured that the kids in the masks, that whole thing was just like a dream. It kind of got a little bit like magical, you know? So, okay. That was episode 3. Only maybe 2 parts to this. Maybe I'll do 3. I don't know. Depends on how I separate these. Anyway, yeah. Tiny Bunny episode 3. Can't wait for the next one. So, yeah. Title screen keeps changing. This has been Mr. Bacon Bits with Tiny Bunny. Stay safe, happy, and healthy, and, can't wait for the next episode. See you guys later.